Welcome back to ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the issues surrounding Jack Brennan's calculated manipulation and the dangerous game Nina Reeves has unwittingly entered by failing to honor their secret agreement. Jack Brennan appeared almost pleased when Nina Reeves arrived at his office in a state of absolute desperation. Frantically seeking his assistance to help Willow take Kane escape serious legal consequences for Drew Kane's shooting. The seasoned operative listened carefully to Na's pleading request, recognizing an opportunity when he saw one. True to his reputation for getting things done, Jack successfully fulfilled his part of their arrangement by managing to get crucial suppressed evidence that would have devastated Willow's defense and potentially sealed her fate in court. This wasn't just any piece of evidence either. It was the kind of damning material that prosecutors dream about and defense attorneys have nightmares over. Jack worked his connections, pulled strings within the system, and ensured that this particular bombshell never made it before the judge or jury. However, Nina completely failed to deliver on her promised contribution to their deal. And given Jack's extensive network of informants and surveillance capabilities throughout Port Charles, it's only a question of when, not if he discovers her betrayal. The real mystery now revolves around how Jack will choose to respond once he realizes Nina has broken their agreement, and more importantly, who among Nina's loved ones will ultimately suffer the devastating consequences of her decision to rag on their arrangement. Jack Brennan isn't known for his mercy or forgiveness, and those who cross him typically learn painful lessons they never forget. Na's last-minute change of heart. Nina must have experienced a profound emotional conflict regarding her complicated relationship with Charlotte Cassadine that compelled her to completely abandon the original plan. The instant she was confronted with exactly the type of sensitive information Jack had been pursuing. Perhaps Nina had convinced herself beforehand that Charlotte wouldn't possess any meaningful intelligence about Valentin Cassadine's current whereabouts or activities, making the agreement seem harmless enough. But the moment Charlotte began revealing significant details about her father, Na's maternal instincts kicked into overdrive, and she immediately wanted to protect the young girl from being exploited as an intelligence source. Na couldn't bring herself to manipulate Charlotte for information, even though doing so was precisely what she had agreed to do in exchange for Jack's help saving Willow. The complexity of Nina's feelings toward Charlotte runs deep, stemming from her connection to Valentin and her desire to maintain some semblance of a relationship with the girl. When push came to shove and Charlotte started sharing genuine information that could prove valuable to Jack's operations, Nina found herself unable to go through with extracting and reporting that intelligence back to Jack. Her conscience got the better of her judgment, and she chose to shield Charlotte instead of honoring her commitment to the WB agent who had just pulled off a legal miracle for Willow. Jack's ruthless expectations and methods. Anyone who has observed Jack's interactions with virtually every person he's dealt with throughout Port Charles knows without question that he demands absolute loyalty and expects everyone working under his authority to comply completely with his directives without hesitation or deviation. Jack operates according to a strict code where agreements are sacred and betrayals are unforgivable. He's built his entire career on the principle that people must follow through on their commitments, especially when those commitments involve him personally. His reputation within intelligence circles is legendary precisely because he never tolerates anyone going back on their word. Na appears increasingly anxious and visibly worried about the inevitable moment when Jack discovers her deception, and her concern is completely justified given his track record. Jack has demonstrated time and again that he maintains an elaborate surveillance network with eyes and ears positioned strategically throughout the city. Nothing of significance happens in Port Charles without Jack learning about it eventually. The probability that the WASB operative assigned to monitor and accompany Charlotte failed to document and report every single detail of her conversations, including the one with Nina, back to Jack approaches zero. These agents are trained to observe and report everything, and Jack selects only the most reliable operatives for sensitive assignments involving children of high-value targets like Valentin. Na might be fooling herself into believing she was clever enough to outsmart Jack. Or perhaps she's hoping she's already in the clear simply because Jack already delivered on his promise by getting that evidence suppressed. But Jack Brennan didn't rise to his current position by being naive or easily deceived, which raises serious questions about Nina's judgment and strategic thinking. Did she really believe she could break an agreement with one of the most connected intelligence operatives on the East Coast without facing repercussions? Her apparent lack of understanding about who she's dealing with suggests either remarkable optimism or dangerous foolishness. The inevitable retaliation against Willow. Jack has consistently proven himself masterful at identifying people's pressure points and knowing exactly how to apply leverage where it will cause maximum impact. In Na's case, nothing in her entire world matters more to her than the precious few family connections she's managed to maintain despite her history of poor decisions and burned bridges. Willow represents everything Nina values: a daughter figure she loves desperately, a connection to her grandson, and a chance at redemption for past mistakes. Na negotiated with Jack specifically to protect Willow from prosecution, making her daughter-in-law the most obvious target for Jack's retaliation. The logic is devastatingly simple. If Nina refuses to honor her commitment to Jack, he will find a way to reverse or undermine the help he provided, directly impacting Willow's legal situation. This doesn't necessarily mean Jack will attempt to get the previously suppressed video footage admitted into evidence after all, since that ship may have already sailed from a legal procedural standpoint. Jack possesses the resources and connections to ensure that new incriminating evidence mysteriously surfaces, evidence that could make Willow appear even more guilty than the original material suggested. Imagine forensic evidence suddenly being discovered that places Willow at the scene with even greater certainty, or witness testimony emerging that contradicts her alibi, or digital records appearing that suggest premeditation rather than a crime of passion. Can't you just picture how this scenario might unfold? Jack makes a single phone call, pulls one strategic string within law enforcement or the prosecutor's office, and suddenly Willow finds herself facing renewed legal jeopardy that's potentially worse than what Na originally saved her from. The beautiful cruelty of Jack's approach is that he can engineer Willow's downfall while maintaining complete deniability, ensuring that Nina understands exactly who's responsible while being powerless to prove it or stop it. Na will be forced to watch helplessly as the daughter-in-law she worked so hard to protect faces devastating consequences. All because Nina couldn't follow through on a simple information-gathering assignment involving Charlotte. The guilt will consume Nina, knowing that her decision to protect Charlotte directly resulted in Willow's suffering, creating an impossible moral dilemma where Na must live with the knowledge that her choice to spare one young person she cares about condemned another person she loves even more deeply. Next, we will learn about the shocking courtroom drama that has left poor Charles reeling and one respected doctor's reputation hanging by a thread. The legal battle surrounding Willow's case has taken an unexpected and explosive turn, thanks to a strategic move by attorney Alexis Davis that nobody saw coming. In what was supposed to be a calculated legal maneuver to strengthen the defense's position, Alexis made the bold decision to issue a subpoena compelling Dr. Portia Robinson to testify in court. The seasoned attorney's plan was straightforward and seemingly bulletproof. She wanted to demonstrate to the judge and jury that the Port Charles Police Department had acted with undue haste in arresting Willow, essentially putting all their investigative eggs in one basket while completely ignoring other viable suspects who remained at large. Alexis's legal strategy appeared sound on paper. By calling Portia to the witness stand, she intended to create reasonable doubt by showing that the investigation had been narrowly focused and potentially flawed from the start. The defense attorney was building a narrative that law enforcement had rushed to judgment, zeroing in on Willow as their prime suspect while failing to properly investigate alternative theories and other individuals who had means, motive, and opportunity to commit the crime. This tactical approach is a classic defense strategy employed in countless criminal cases. If you can prove the police didn't do their due diligence, you can cast serious doubt on the entire prosecution's case. However, what transpired in that courtroom was something nobody could have predicted. Instead of the straightforward testimony Alexis had anticipated, her questioning inadvertently opened a Pandora's box that would send shock waves through Port Charles General Hospital and destroy the carefully constructed facade of Dr. Portia Robinson's professional and personal life. The subpoena, meant to be a weapon in Willow's defense arsenal, became a nuclear bomb that detonated right in the middle of the proceedings, leaving casualties and debris scattered everywhere. The silver lining in this chaotic situation, if there can be one, is that Drew Kane's despicable blackmail scheme has finally been dragged into the light of day. The revelation of his extortion tactics has given prosecutors grounds to bring serious criminal charges against him. Drew's manipulation and coercion of others through threats and intimidation can now be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Score 1 for justice, and kudos to Alexis for inadvertently exposing this corruption. The man who thought he could operate above the law and control people through fear now faces the very real possibility of criminal prosecution for extortion. A charge that carries significant penalties. But while Drew's downfall provides some satisfaction, Dr. Portia Robinson's nightmare is only just beginning. The accomplished physician now finds herself at the center of a scandal that threatens everything she has worked so hard to build her medical career. Her marriage to Police Commissioner Curtis Ashford, her standing in the Port Charles community, and her own sense of self-worth and dignity. The courtroom has become ground zero for the complete unraveling of her life. And the fallout from what happened on that witness stand will likely reverberate for months, if not years to come. Yet, here's where we need to pause and ask ourselves a critical question that cuts to the heart of this entire debacle. Is Alexis Davis truly the villain in this story? Should the attorney be held responsible for the catastrophic chain of events that unfolded? If we examine this situation with clear eyes and rational minds, free from emotional bias, a different picture emerges. The uncomfortable truth is that Dr. Portia Robinson revealed far more information than was legally required or strategically necessary. She voluntarily spilled secrets that didn't need to be disclosed in that moment, essentially becoming the architect of her own public humiliation. The courtroom confession that destroyed Portia's carefully maintained double life happened while she was under oath on the witness stand. Alexis's line of questioning, while pointed and strategic, was relatively standard for a defense attorney trying to establish alternative suspects and timelines. The attorney asked about Portia's location on the night Drew Cain was shot, a reasonable question given the circumstances. When Portia confirmed she had been at the Metro Court, Alexis naturally sought clarification by asking whether she meant the restaurant portion of the establishment. This was a straightforward follow-up question that required only a simple yes or no answer. But this is precisely where everything fell apart for Dr. Robinson. Instead of maintaining her composure and providing minimal factual responses, Portia completely lost control of her emotions. The psychological pressure of keeping her secret, combined with the stress of being on the witness stand and the fear of being caught, proved too much for her to handle. She broke down in spectacular fashion right there in open court, with spectators watching, court reporters transcribing every word, and her husband Curtis potentially hearing about this testimony within hours. Through her tears and emotional breakdown, Portia admitted that she had indeed been at the Metro Court that night, but not in the restaurant or bar area. She confessed she had been in a hotel room, which immediately raised eyebrows throughout the courtroom. And then came the bombshell admission that would change everything. The hotel room had been registered under the name of Dr. Isaiah Gainin, her colleague from General Hospital. The implications were instantly clear to everyone present, and the whispers began immediately. Here's what makes this situation even more tragic and avoidable. Portia wasn't legally obligated to reveal the intimate details of what was happening inside that hotel room. Think about it carefully. From a purely legal standpoint, all she had established was that she was in a hotel room registered to a colleague. That fact alone doesn't automatically prove an affair or any inappropriate conduct. For all the court needed to know, Portia and Dr. Gainin could have been meeting to discuss complex patient cases, reviewing confidential medical files that couldn't be taken home, collaborating on research papers, or planning hospital administrative strategies. While such an explanation might seem unlikely or suspicious to those inclined towards skepticism, it would have been plausible enough to maintain deniability. The crucial point is this: Portia could have and should have maintained her emotional composure on the stand. She could have answered the questions as briefly and factually as possible, providing no more information than was specifically requested. Then, once the judge called for a recess, she could have stepped outside the courtroom, found a private space, and allowed herself to process and release all those pent-up emotions away from public scrutiny. She could have consulted with her own attorney about how to handle the situation moving forward. She had options, alternatives, and strategies available that wouldn't have resulted in such complete self-destructs. The question that viewers and Port Charles residents alike are now debating is whether Portia essentially exposed herself through her own actions. Did the defense attorney's examination really have to lead to such a dramatic meltdown and full confession? Or did Portia's guilty conscience, her inability to live with the secret any longer, and her poor emotional regulation under pressure combine to create this perfect storm of self-sabotage? Many legal experts watching this case unfold would argue that Alexis's questioning, while strategic, wasn't particularly aggressive or designed to force such revelations. A more composed witness, even one hiding the same secrets, could have navigated those questions without admitting to an extramarital affair. This courtroom disaster raises important questions about truth, consequences, and personal responsibility. While Alexis certainly put Portia in an uncomfortable position by calling her to testify, the attorney was simply doing her job defending her client with every legal tool at her disposal. Portia's decision to volunteer information that went far beyond what was asked of her to essentially confess to her affair when she could have remained vague or invoked various legal protections suggests that perhaps some part of her wanted the truth to come out. Perhaps the weight of living a double life had become too heavy to bear, and the courtroom simply became the pressure cooker that finally caused everything to explode. The aftermath of this testimony will be felt throughout Port Charles for quite some time, affecting not just Portia and Curtis's marriage, but also hospital politics, professional relationships, and the overall fabric of the community that thrives on such scandals. Next, we will learn about the issue of Cameron Matt's holiday escape to the snowy mountains while his character, Drew Cain, faces the most devastating scandal of his political career in Port Charles. Cameron Matt is currently basking in the winter wonderland of Vail, Colorado, creating precious holiday memories with his children during this festive Christmas season. The beloved General Hospital star has temporarily traded the dramatic soundstages of Port Charles for the breathtaking mountain slopes of one of America's premier ski destinations. While the ABC soap opera takes its customary holiday break, Matt has seized this perfect opportunity to reconnect with his son and daughter in the picturesque Rocky Mountain resort town that has become synonymous with luxury winter getaways. The actor's festive reunion with his children comes just weeks after he made a special trip to visit his daughter in the City of Light during the Thanksgiving holiday period. That international journey to Paris demonstrated Matt's commitment to maintaining close bonds with his children despite his demanding television schedule. Now the entire family has gathered together in Vail to celebrate Christmas as a united trio, creating the kind of memories that will last a lifetime. The timing couldn't be more perfect, as the show's production schedule has given him this rare window to fully immerse himself in quality family time without the pressures of filming obligations. Matt enthusiastically shared his mountain adventure with fans through a captivating series of photographs posted to his Instagram account documenting what he labeled as Day 1 of their Vail expedition. The images capture the joy and excitement of hitting the legendary slopes with his children by his side. However, the veteran actor made an interesting observation that caught the attention of his followers. He noted with some surprise that the snowfall this season represents the least amount of snow he has witnessed in Vail over the past 3 decades. This unusual weather pattern has been a topic of conversation among regular visitors to the resort, though it hasn't dampened the Matt family's enthusiasm for their holiday celebration. The reduced snow cover stands in stark contrast to the typical heavy powder that blankets the mountain peaks during peak winter season. The contrast between Matt's idyllic mountain retreat and his character's tumultuous situation on General Hospital couldn't be more dramatic. While the actor glides down pristine slopes surrounded by his loving children, Drew Cain is experiencing a catastrophic downfall in Port Charles that threatens to destroy everything he has built. The disgraced congressman finds himself trapped in a nightmare of his own making. With the walls closing in from every direction as the truth about his corrupt practices comes to light. Drew's world came crashing down during an explosive courtroom scene when Portia Robinson took the witness stand during Willow's highly anticipated trial. What should have been routine testimony transformed into a devastating revelation that exposed Drew's involvement in a blackmail scheme that abused his congressional authority. Portia's testimony under oath revealed that the congressman had been using his political position as leverage to manipulate her into compliance, threatening her career and reputation if she didn't bend to his will. This shocking disclosure sent shockwaves through the courtroom and immediately triggered calls for a thorough investigation into his conduct. The revelation of Drew's blackmail activities has left him reeling with rage and desperately searching for someone to blame for his predicament. His fury has primarily focused on Alexis Davis, the sharp legal mind who made the strategic decision to call Portia as a witness for the defense. Drew views Alexis's courtroom maneuver as a personal betrayal and a deliberate attack designed to humiliate him publicly. He is consumed with anger over how she orchestrated Portia's testimony to expose not just the doctor's potential motive for shooting him, but also the corrupt behavior that made him a target in the first place. In Drew's twisted perspective, Alexis is the villain who deliberately destroyed his reputation rather than acknowledging that his own illegal actions created this disaster. The implications of Portia's testimony extend far beyond the courtroom drama. Federal prosecutor Turner has eagerly seized upon this new information and is chomping at the bit to launch a comprehensive investigation into Drew's abuse of power. The ambitious prosecutor sees this case as a career-making opportunity to bring down a corrupt politician who thought he was above the law. Turner's investigation will likely dig deep into Drew's congressional activities, examining every decision and every interaction for evidence of additional misconduct. The legal jeopardy Drew now faces could result in criminal charges that carry serious prison time. Perhaps the most painful aspect of this scandal for Drew is the reaction of his wife, Willow, who was completely blindsided by the revelation of her husband's blackmail scheme. Willow had absolutely no knowledge that the man she married and trusted was capable of such manipulative and illegal behavior. She was forced to discover her husband's true character in the most public and humiliating way possible. Sitting in a courtroom surrounded by friends, family, and adversaries who all witnessed her shock and devastation simultaneously. The betrayal she feels goes beyond the criminal acts themselves. Drew's deception and his willingness to destroy others to get what he wanted has shattered her image of who he really is. Alexis's decision to put Portia on the witness stand has proven to be a legal masterstroke that created a domino effect of consequences rippling through multiple lives in Port Charles. The veteran attorney's calculated move didn't just provide reasonable doubt for her client. It completely upended the power dynamics in town and exposed corruption at the highest levels. The fallout from this courtroom bombshell will continue to reverberate through the coming weeks and months, affecting not just Drew and Willow's marriage, but also Portia's medical career, Drew's political future, and the relationships of everyone connected to this expanding scandal. An enraged Drew is an exceptionally dangerous Drew, and anyone who crosses his path during this volatile period should proceed with extreme caution. The congressman has always possessed a ruthless streak. But now that his carefully constructed facade has crumbled, he has little left to lose. This makes him unpredictable and willing to take risks that he might have avoided when he still had a reputation to protect. His anger is driving him toward increasingly reckless decisions that could cause collateral damage to innocent bystanders who happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. With his political career in ruins, his marriage on the brink of collapse, and a federal investigation looming over his head, Drew's desperation is reaching critical levels. Making rational, thoughtful decisions has never been his priority, even in the best of times. And his current crisis has pushed him even further from logical thinking. The postponement of Willow's trial until after the New Year holiday period provides an extended window of time for Drew to act out his rage without the immediate pressure of courtroom proceedings. This delay could prove catastrophic as it gives him weeks to plot revenge, make impulsive choices, and potentially commit new offenses that will only deepen his legal troubles. His next moves will likely be driven by emotion rather than strategy. And the consequences of his actions during this unstable period may haunt him for years to come.